I was positive that this was the guy for me. I was positive that this was the guy for me. I would have done anything to make it happen, for me to be with him, for me to marry him and have children with him. And to this day, it frightens me. It frightens me. If that would have worked out, if I would have gotten what I wanted in that situation, I would be so miserable. I would be so miserable today. I am such a different person now. And what I want now is so different than the girl back then who thought that this guy who was ignoring me was the best guy for me. So this video is about how we don't want to ignore what God and the universe is telling us. We don't want to ignore that. And we want to choose inner peace instead of control. We want to choose inner peace and not control, and allow the good to come. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this video that I've been putting off for some reason. So this is video 2 in my 6-part series of why inner peace is more powerful than positive thinking. And this video is inner peace versus control. This video is about inner peace versus trying to control things, and how this is the real shift in manifestation. And I talked about this in a previous video about how I don't normally directly talk about manifestation very often, but in an indirect way, when I'm talking about inner peace, I am talking about manifestation, right? So, and I talk about A Course in Miracles all the time, which is about the goal of A Course in Miracles is not anything in this world. The goal of A Course in Miracles is inner peace. I just saw this video about why older people tend to be attracted to A Course in Miracles. And it's just funny because I think that's true. But it's weird because I was attracted to it in my 20s. I think I knew even at that time, that nothing of this world was going to actually give me what I wanted. But what's weird is what started happening is then the world did start kind of giving me what I wanted. But it was from this place of knowing that, like I say, there's something beyond this world. Okay, so the main message that I want to portray in this video is that true peace is trust. It's not force, okay? So trust opens the door to miracles. When I first started manifesting and learning about manifesting, it was like a light touch on things. And I was super successful at it, with this light touch type of manifesting, but I was reading A Course in Miracles, and I knew that I didn't really know what I wanted. A Course in Miracles teaches us this. Our ego, our little personality can't possibly know what is the best for us. So it's you know what you want. You can, when you're aligned with God, when you're aligned with your soul, but this world tells us we want a lot of things probably that we don't want. And actually nothing in this world is going to bring us long-term happiness. It doesn't mean that we don't go for things or we don't have goals in this world. We should, because it does bring happiness. I do think I have gotten things that have brought me happiness in this world, and it is short term. We just need to know that it is short term happiness, that it always will be, that there is something within us, a place we can go that is more long term. But what happened with me is once I started manifesting and learning about it, I went on YouTube and I remember one specific teacher I was listening to, and she was like, you have to know what you want. And I'm like, oh, that's weird because I've never done it that way. I've never known exactly what I wanted. I've just trusted. I've trusted the universe, God, that we can't control everything, right? So we don't want to be controlling everything. If we're feeling miserable, if we're feeling unhappy, if we're just feeling even unsatisfied, if we're just feeling slightly unsatisfied or unhappy, it means we're trying to control things, right? We're trying to use spiritual control, and that doesn't work. So we don't need to control everything. What we need to do is lean into the trust that the universe is on our side. You lean into trust that things are working out for your good and in your favor, even if it doesn't appear that way. So true peace is trust. It's not force. And this trust will open the door to miracles. It opens the door to a shift, and then you see the shift on the outside. Not always. Sometimes you don't need it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about signs that you're using control, that you're trying to control things, even using spiritual control, and how to just shift into trust. Okay, so I do this all the time, okay? Sometimes multiple times a day. So signs that you're using control, and then how to shift into trust. One sign that you're using control is if you're feeling dis-ease, if you're feeling unsatisfied, if you're feeling stressed, if you want to be here, there, but you're here, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're not feeling peaceful, if you're not feeling joyful, it's a sign that you probably are using control, right? So how do we get out of the control and lean into trust? Well, for me, it's a lot of it is focusing on myself, focusing on my life, and knowing that my life is my life and it's nobody else's life to live. So like focusing on not comparing, like getting off social media, just not judging myself or my life or anybody else, So like knowing that your life is yours to live. You are not here to live somebody else's life. So your life is not going to look like anybody else's life. It's all, so you want to focus on yourself, get internal, get in your life, get involved in your life from a place of non-judgment and non-comparison. So detach from everybody else's opinion, detach from get focused on what you're doing. I think that really helps us to lean into trust. We don't need to control it all. I have a story that I will tell you about a time that I was using spiritual control, a big one where I manifested something big in my life after I learned this. So I talked in a previous video about how at one point in my life, I was mistaking pain for love. So this is about a relationship that I was in. This was a specific relationship. It was very profound, a profound learning experience in my life. Was this a profound forgiveness opportunity? Now, I was positive that this was the guy for me. I could probably go on for hours explaining this story, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But I was late to the dating game in my life. I dated way late in life. I was very, I didn't have a lot of self-esteem. I was scared of the opposite sex. I was scared of dating. It was like I could do a lot of other things, but I couldn't do that. Okay. So I had a lot of things going on there. So I started dating later in life, and I really dated from a place of low self-esteem. Okay. So I put up with a lot of stuff in my life. And I was addicted to guys and I didn't know this at the time. I was addicted to guys who were emotionally unavailable. Can anybody relate to this? So the dark guy, the guy who had who was deep and who was, deep and depressed and unattainable. These were the guys that I attracted into my life. And there was one that I completely thought I fell in love with. It's weird because I used to say I was in love with him, and now I look back and I'm like, that wasn't love, it was pain. But at the time, I was in love with him, is what I thought, and I knew that we were supposed to be together. And when it didn't work out, it was one of those tumultuous relationships that when we were together, it was super, super high. I felt high when we were together. And then our time together would end and I would feel super low, and I would wait for him to text me or call me, and it would be like this game. It turned into this game, and he would make plans with me, and then he would cancel them, and I would be heartbroken. It would always be some excuse or the other. And it was funny because the first guy I dated in my 20s, he would do stuff like this too. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, and he would we would make plans, and something would always happen. And I just thought this was life, So this guy I was completely in love with. He was very romantic, the deep, dark, romantic guy that also was emotionally unavailable. That was my jam. That was what I did, and it really affected my self-esteem when somebody was emotionally unavailable. I thought there's something wrong with me. I can do it. I can help him, right? This was my relationship. And I knew, I thought he was my soulmate. I do, in a way. I think we have multiple soulmates. And in a way, he was a soulmate because it was like a soul contract. I think there was something that that needed to be resolved there, you know? So in a way that was true, but soulmate doesn't mean the person that you're supposed to be with for the rest of your life. I think everybody we meet, we're supposed to meet, right? So we could say in a way that we're all soulmates. But so how do I even go into the story? So we did break up. We were, like I said, it was very tumultuous. It was like highs and lows and highs and lows. And I don't know if we like officially broke up. I just remember I was working at the school and it was like Christmas break and I cried every day. Like I couldn't get through a day without crying. It was just all of this, right? And I would ask for signs from the universe. I remember one time I asked for a sign from the universe and I said, I want to hear this song or this song when I turned on my car. And I turned on my car and one of the songs was on that I said. And then directly after that song, the other song that I said came on. And there was a therapist I was seeing at the time. She was very into A Course in Miracles and was into manifesting. And even she was like, well, what was the question you asked? And I just asked, the question I asked, the sign I asked for with those songs was not like, am I supposed to be with him forever? It was, am I going to be okay? It was, am I going to be okay? And that was the answer, that I was going to be okay, but it didn't mean that I was going to be with him forever. So at that point in my life, I would have chosen to be with him forever. I would have chosen to marry him. I would have chosen to have children with him. And there was a point where I realized, oh my God, I'm so glad that didn't happen, because what I know is I would have been begging for his attention probably my entire life. It was, that's how it would have gone. And that's not actually what I wanted. So what my ego wanted was very different from what my soul wanted. Eventually what I did, so when I met my husband, it was after this guy and let's call him Ed. I don't know. So it was when I met my husband, it was after the guy that I was like in this tumultuous, like, he was emotionally unavailable. I was totally convinced that he was my soulmate. I met my husband later, and it was like at a whole new level. When I met my husband, it was like at a level of just fantasy of what is actually available in this world when it comes to relationships. So I had to raise my standards. So what I eventually did was I went on dating. I met my husband on Match.com, but when I went on dating websites, what I did, even this doesn't matter if I met somebody through Match.com or if I met someone once at A Course in Miracles. He was a Course in Miracles leader, and I thought he was going to be the one. That didn't turn out to be the one either. That was kind of weird. But anyway, what I ended up doing was I just raised my standards. So I was putting up with a lot of bullshit. I was putting up with a lot of stuff in my relationships that I shouldn't have been. Looking back, like I had no business putting up with this stuff. And what I would start doing is, what's wrong with me? Why are guys treating me this way? What's wrong with me? Well, there was nothing wrong with me. I mean, the only thing that was wrong with me was that I was sticking around, I guess. That was what was wrong. So what I did was I raised my standards. Okay, this might be slightly controversial and not everybody has to do it this way, but this is what I did. So for instance, I wanted the guy to pay. And if the guy didn't pay, I'm looking at my lighting. If the guy didn't pay, if he wanted to split the bill, I didn't go out with him again. Okay. This actually turned into a joke with my boss, who was a guy younger than me at the time who was dating. And he's like, he made a joke. Finally, when I got engaged to my husband, he was like, he paid, didn't he? And my husband, to this day, has not made me pay for anything. Okay. So whatever, this is just me. This might sound kind of bitchy or whatever. But it seriously is what I did. I wanted a guy who would pay. So if he didn't pay, I didn't go out with him again. I would split the bill. I wouldn't like say anything. I just raised my standards. I'm like, okay, that's what he wants. That's fine. That's not what I want. So I raised my, I saw it as raising my standards. It's not necessarily, if that's not something you want, if you don't care, that's fine. It's not that that's less. It's just for me, it's more aligned with what I wanted. Right. So, if he didn't pay, or if he wanted me to pay for something, I didn't go with him again. This sounds so weird. Because it's not really me. It sounds not like me, because I've always been so like empathetic and caring and compassionate and wanting to help people. And I just, I didn't want to meet a guy. I didn't want to be in a relationship where I was helping him or where I was trying to fix him. I didn't want that anymore, you know? I wanted to also be taken care of. And so I wanted that energy of being taken care of. And I ended up, you know, when I raised my standards, I found it. There was a guy too who, you know, I was talking to him online, and I remember, oh, this will make people mad too. This will make people mad. People will react to this in a negative way. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. But there was another guy that I was talking to on a dating website, and he had kids, and which was fine. But he made plans with me, and then he canceled them because he said his kid had a soccer game or something. Again, this is a time in your life. That's fine. He had to go to his kid's soccer game, but I'm just not interested in somebody who's going to cancel plans on me. And so I said I wasn't interested after that happened. And he was really offended. Like, really, you're not interested because I canceled these plans. And yeah, I just know, you know, when I would start to see these patterns, I would just cut it off right away. And it wasn't always easy. But yeah, I just feel like how I see it is my husband was waiting up here for me, and I had to like get through everything that was down here and say no to everything that was down here so I could find him. You know, it's what's weird is my husband lives like a mile away, not even a mile away from my sister. He was here, like he lives in the town next to mine. Like he was here the entire time. We just had our vibrations had to match. And when I remember this too. Another guy I dated. I could write a book about the guys I dated from websites. I know there's more today. Like back when I was doing dating websites, it was like eHarmony and Match.com. Those were like the two. Like that was it. Now it's like there's so many choices and everything. But I won't tell every story about every guy I met online. But yeah, so it was an experience. Now, so that's how I see it, is that I wanted to be up here in a vibration with a man, and I had to like get through all the things and say no to all the things that were down here. Not that I'm better than anyone or my husband's better than anyone, but it's just what more aligned with me and what I wanted with my truth, you know, and that is personal. I think that's different for everyone, but it's like aligned with what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to want. And there's where it's like our desires are given to us from God. You know, I really do believe that our desires are safe guidance, that they're giving to us from God. But if we're feeling control, if we're feeling that it has to be like one exact person or one exact thing, or it has to happen this exact way, that's ego. That's ego. That's not a desire from God, right? If it feels bad, if it feels controlling, that's not coming from a God desire. That's why sometimes it's easier to be like, how do I want to feel in this relationship? You know, it's not like about exactly who it is or how it's going to happen. You don't always know. I thank God all the time. Well, not all the time. I don't think about it that often, but I used to all the time. And now just thinking about it now, I thank God that it didn't work out with that person. It would have taken me down a different road that I would have had to recover from. I'm so thankful that it did not work out with that person who I thought I wanted to be with. I think I opened up to the secret. I had like a book from the secret that was like 365 days of affirmations. And it said, if you are not with the person that you think you want to be with, it's the universe saying you will not be happy with this person in the long run. How can I possibly know? How could I possibly know with my limited perspective what is best for me? We don't. This is where trust comes in. You can use your inner guidance system. You know how you want to feel. You can trust that, but it's not always the specifics. You don't always know. So I thank God every day that it didn't work out with that guy. Not every day. I said that again. I don't really think about that guy every day, but when I think about it, I thank God. And I'm so glad I'm not in that tumultuous situation anymore and all those horrible feelings. One time I remember he said, he thought love was pain too, by the way, because one time I remember in an email, I just remember an email exchange we had when I was coming out of this like delusion. Like I was like waking up from this brainwash thing that he had over me or whatever I had over myself. And I explained like this, I thought this was love, but I'm like, this feels very painful. And I was kind of telling him like how I felt in this relationship. And he's like, I think what you're describing is love. not pain. And I was like, oh my God, he thinks pain is love. This is part of the problem. I had to get out of it, you know? So I woke up from it, and yeah, so then there was a shift there. And then I found my husband, and it was like out of a storybook. It was like, so yeah, my husband was like better than I even could imagine. I feel like I manifested him out of thin air. I actually did manifest him. I wrote down exactly what I wanted and found it later, and it was him, but it wasn't from a place of, I had forgotten that I even tried to manifest it. It was not from a place of control. Okay. So I think there's a couple of lessons here. It's like saying no, like raising your standards inwardly. And I think you can do this in any type of relationship. It doesn't have to be just a romantic relationship. It could be with a friendship. It could be with a job, you know, like just raising your standards, meaning you kind of had to say no to the things that you're getting now. And then creating space, because that creates space and helps you raise your vibration to where you're actually meant to be. I mean, you naturally will raise, that vibration will naturally raise. Okay. So of course there's a lesson in A Course in Miracles that goes along with this. And it's one of my favorites of all time. I think it's probably one of the most quoted lessons. It's lesson 155. I will step back and let him lead the way. I will step back and let him lead the way. And remember, this video is about inner peace versus control. Okay. So choosing inner peace as a real manifestation shift and not trying to control everything. Okay, moving into the receiving mode. Lesson 155, I will step back and let him lead the way. There is a way of living in the world that is not here, although it seems to be. You do not change appearance, though you smile more frequently. Your forehead is serene and your eyes are quiet. And the ones who walk the world as you do recognize their own. It reminds me of when I have to do this every time I start reading. When I was in Columbus, Ohio, right before getting on stage with Paul McCartney, and I think it was a homeless person who like recognized me. He recognized me and I recognized him, you know. I talk about that in other videos too, but it's true. He was me and I was him. Okay, so your forehead is serene, your eyes are quiet, and the ones who walk the world as you do recognize their own. Yet those who have not yet perceived the way will recognize you also and believe you are like them as you were before. This world is an illusion. The world is an illusion. Those who choose to come to it are seeking for a place where they can be illusions and avoid their own reality. Yet when they find their own reality is even here, then they step back and let it lead the way. See, this is so cool. What other choice is really theirs to make? To let illusions walk ahead of truth is madness, but to let illusions sink behind the truth and let the truth stand forth as what it is merely sanity. You are a child of God. This is the truth, you know? So we're coming to this world where we're hiding from that, but we can't hide from that here either, that this world is not the whole picture, you know, that there are angels pushing us from the behind. That is the truth. So we step back and let him lead the way, and we can't avoid it. We can try to avoid it, or we can't avoid it. There are angels. That's what I think of, that idea of angels pushing us from behind when I hear this. This is the simple choice we make today. The mad illusion will remain a while in evidence for those to look upon who choose to come and have not yet rejoiced to find they were mistaken in their choice. They cannot learn directly from the truth because they have denied that it is so. And so they need a teacher who perceives their madness but will still look beyond illusion to the simple truth in them. If truth demanded they give up the world, it would appear to them as if it asked to sacrifice something that is real. Many have chosen to renounce the world while still believing its reality, and they have suffered from a sense of loss and have not been released accordingly. Others have chosen nothing but the world, and they have suffered from a sense of loss still deeper, which they did not understand. So I think, you know, it could go either way. Like, you could be addicted and attached to the pleasures of the world and forget that there is something beyond this world, or you could be addicted and attached to the losses of this world. Both of them are ego, right? Both of them are ego. The ego says, I'm better than everyone. And then the ego also says, I'm worse than everyone. They're both ego. It's insidious. It's insidious, and it changes. So between these paths, there is another road that leads away from loss of every kind, for sacrifice and deprivation deprivation, both are quickly left behind. It's like also this idea of like the monk who sacrificed everything, but then the ego comes in through the back door and is like, oh, I've sacrificed everything. I've given up the world. I'm better than the world. We're here to experience the world. There's no sacrifices asked. Okay? This is the way appointed for you now. I mean, maybe some people's, there's no judgment in any of this. Like maybe some people's role is to give up the things of the world. Well, who am I to say? I'm just saying it's not for me. Okay, between these paths, there is another road that leads away from loss of every kind, for sacrifice and deprivation both are quickly left behind. This is the way appointed for you now. You walk this path as others walk, nor do you seem to be distinct from them, although you are indeed. Thus can you serve them while you serve yourself, and set their footsteps on the way that God has opened to you and them through you. Illusion still appears to cling to you that you may reach them. Yet it has stepped back, and it is not illusion that they hear you speak of, nor illusion that you bring your eyes to look on and to their minds to grasp. Nor can the truth which walks ahead of you speak to them through illusions. For the road leads past illusions now, while on the way you call to them that they may follow you. It's almost like we use the illusion, knowing that it's an illusion and it's okay. All roads will lead to this one in the end. For sacrifice and deprivation are paths that lead nowhere, choices for defeat, and aims that will remain impossible. All this steps back as truth comes forth in you to lead your brothers from the way of death and set them on the way to happiness. Their suffering is but illusion. Yet they guide to lead them out of it, for they mistake illusion for the truth. Such a salvation's call and nothing more. It asks that you accept the truth and let it go before you, lighting up the path of ransom from illusion. It is not a ransom with a price. There is no cost but only gain. Illusion can seem to hold in chains the Holy Son of God. It is but from illusion he is saved, and they step back, he finds them again, himself again. As they step back, he finds himself again. So I like this. Such a salvation's call and nothing more. It asks for you to accept the truth, let it go before you, lighting up the path of ransom from illusion. So it's like, it just asks you to accept that you are a child of God, you are powerful, all is love. It asks for you to allow that to just light up your path, right? Walk safely now, yet and trust. No control. We don't have to control. We just have to trust. Okay. Walk safely now, yet carefully, because this path is new to you, and you may find that you are tempted still to walk ahead of truth and let illusions be your guide. It happens, right? We go in and out of that. So your holy brothers, I feel like whenever for me, like when I've manifested something really good in the world and amazing, I kind of get off this. I get off my spiritual path. Of Course in Miracles says this, like some people, the more success they're having in the world, it doesn't mean the more spiritual success that they're having. Like I think sometimes in the New Age community, we assume that both are the same, and they're not always. But it doesn't also mean that when you gain the world that you're losing your soul. That's not what that means either, right? You can do both. We don't want to think either mean anything. But yeah, for me, it's like when I've manifested something big in the world, I do sometimes get lost in that. And I got lost in the world and then forget. And then it starts to become a thing of control. And I realize it's not making me happy because I'm not being able to control every part of this. I'm trying to think of an example. It could be just like going into my own business. I manifested that under a full moon one night. The getting on stage with Paul McCartney is a really good example. I know I talk about that one all the time, but it's like after that happened, it was such a manifestation. It was so magical how it happened. It was so obvious that it was a shift in perception, that it was a manifestation, everything that was going through that weekend. But then after it happened, when I came home and, the picture was there and kind of like your all the adrenaline's kind of like wearing off. This happens to my clients all the time too. Like once the adrenaline wears off, I went online and I started looking at comments. Like there were so many comments under our picture with Paul from strangers, who were saying things, and I just assumed they'd all be good. I just assumed, and they were like 95% of them were good, like exciting and happy. And, but then I would see a couple that were like super negative, and somebody said, "Oh, that looks like Paul's people, like rich and something, like we had paid money to have this done," or Um, then somebody made fun of me. Like there was a woman who said something. So there were things that, and then suddenly I got fixated on those things for a short period of time and was like, I did for a short period of time, like I let those comments make me sad. Like the trust all of a sudden was gone. I was too involved in the world. I got involved in comparison or like what other people thought. Like that took the magic right out of it. I got back to a place of magic, but it's just a perfect example of manifesting something huge and big and amazing, and then suddenly kind of forgetting, like putting almost too much emphasis on it and forgetting where I came from, forgetting where all this came from, forgetting how I did it, because then I came too attached to it, So I feel like we go back and forth. So sometimes when we manifest something in the world, it can actually take us off our spiritual path for a little bit. And then we have to get back on it, But, things are not always what they seem. This world is an illusion, like things aren't always what they seem. Things aren't always what they appear to be. That's why it's so scary that our lives are so revolved around social media. Because obviously social media isn't what it appears to be, but our brains totally don't remember that. Okay. Such as salvation's call and nothing more. It asks that you accept the truth, let it go before you, lighting up the path of ransom from illusion. It is not a ransom with a price. There is no cost, but only gain. Illusion can but seem to hold in chains the Holy Son of God. It is but illusions he is saved. It is but from illusions he is saved. As they step back, he finds himself again. So as the illusion steps back, as the illusion of the world steps back, the Son of God can find himself again. And that's kind of what I was just saying. Like, once I was able to step back from that experience, I could find myself again. Walk safely now, yet carefully, because this path is new to you, and you may find that you are tempted still to walk ahead of truth and let illusions be your guide. This is what I was just talking about. Your holy brothers have been given you to follow in your footsteps as you walk with certainty of purpose to the truth. It goes before you now, that they may see something with which they can identify, something they understand to lead the way. For some reason, this is making me think of this quote I saw on Instagram the other day about introverts. And it said something about how if you say go big or go home to an introvert, the introvert will go home every time. Like, don't say go big or go home to an introvert, because they will just go home. There's like no doubt, right? And that made me laugh so hard because that's me. I'm an introvert. Like, I don't go big or go home. Like, I'm very happy to go home. That's like my dream. So anyway, it's like, it reminds me of that, like, because I don't know. I do feel like we live in an extroverted world still. And like an introvert has like something within them. There's like this treasure within. And so sometimes like, I feel like it's easier for an introvert to know this stuff, that it's not really a sacrifice to give up the world. There's like this like magical feeling about it. If you're like forcing yourself to give up the world and become this monk and be like, I'm better than everybody because I gave up the world because that was a really hard thing to do. Like I sacrificed and did something really hard. That's kind of defeating the purpose. I think an introvert kind of knows, an empath introvert kind of knows that the world holds nothing. This world holds nothing that I want. And beyond this world, there is something that I want, as A Course in Miracles says. We do live in an extroverted world. I'm sorry, but we do still. I think it's changing though, especially with social media, because I think most people who have like YouTube accounts are introverts. Okay, introverts unite in the privacy of our own home. Okay, so yet at the journey's ending, there will be no gap, no distance between truth and you. And all illusions walking in the way you traveled with will be gone from you as well, with nothing left to keep the truth apart from God's completion, holy as himself. Step back in faith and let truth lead the way. You know not where you go. You don't have to know where you go. But one who knows goes with you. Let him lead you with the rest. Let him lead you with the rest. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. That is A Course in Miracles. And if we just knew that, we wouldn't need to read the rest of it. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. When dreams are over, time has closed the door on all things that pass, and miracles are purposeless. The Holy Son of God will make no journeys. There will be no wish to be illusion rather than the truth. And we step forth toward this as we progress along the way that truth points out to us. This is our final journey, which we will make for everyone. We must not lose our way, for as truth goes before us, so goes it before our brothers who follow us. We walk to God. Pause. This is one of my favorite paragraphs in the whole thing. We walk to God. Pause and reflect on this. Could any way be holier or more deserving of your effort, of your love, and your full intent? What way could give you more than everything or offer less and still content the Holy Son of God? We walk to God. The truth that walks before us now is one with him and leads us to where he has always been. What way but this could be a path that you would choose instead? Your feet are safely set upon the road that leads the world to God. Let not ways that seem to lead you elsewhere. Look not to ways that seem to lead you elsewhere. Dreams are not a worthy guide for you who are God's son. Forget not he has placed his hands in yours and given you your brothers in his trust, that you are worthy of his trust in you. He cannot be deceived. God cannot be mocked. His trust has made your pathway certain and your goal secure. He will not fail your brothers nor yourself. And now he asks, but you think of him a while each day. Simple. Think of God a while each day. Very simple, right? That he may speak to you and tell you of his love, reminding you how great his trust, how limitless his love, in your name and his own, which are the same. We practice gladly with this thought today. I will step back and let him lead the way, for I would walk along the road to him. Okay? So this, I will step back and let him lead the way. This is a perfect lesson that goes with this idea of stop controlling, lean on inner peace and not control. Inner peace. And this is the series about how inner peace is more positive than positive thinking. Positive thinking is a great thing. We can sprinkle some positive thinking on top of inner peace, right? But inner peace there is still a slight energy of control in positive thinking. Thinking that I have to think positive all the time. I have to know, I think it helps to think positive. I like journaling out like self-concept, like I am statements, right? Especially as an empath, especially when I'm around people all the time. I like to like come back to myself and remind myself who I am. Okay, so that's okay. Like there is a time and a place for that. But I'm not constantly trying to control my thoughts, So it has its place. But let's go to this place of inner peace. It's just much more powerful, okay? And there's less inner peace, trust, not control. Inner peace and trust, not control. Okay, so I hope this was helpful today. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more videos like this about bringing the vertical into this world and about inner peace and peace and love. And I'll talk to you soon.